Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the business news here on Midday Live. My name is Alfred Kanse. Let's go on to our first story this afternoon. It has emerged that the Ghana COCOBOD spent $20,000 out of the $1.8 billion syndicated loan for the 2015-2016 crop season for the renting of a venue for the signing ceremony. Some members of the minority caucus in Parliament raised concerns about utilization of the syndicated loan proceeds from the 2015-2016 crop season. An amount of $169,000 was also spent as legal fees, among other expenditure. The loan has attracted an interest of $4.1 million from October 2015 to January 2016. The amount of 570 million Ghana cedis of cocoa roads, 380 million Ghana cedis for fertilizer, and the use of $20,000 for the renting of a venue for signing ceremony and $88,000 for legal fees were aspects of the spreadsheet of COCOBOD that came up for discussion on the floor of Parliament. We can now speak to Noah Kwesi Amenya, who is a Senior Public Relations Manager of COCOBOD. He's joined me on the telephone. Mr. Amenya, if you can hear me, good afternoon to you, sir. Hello, sir. Great. Now, I want to find out from you, first of all, what is the justification for this particular amount of $20,000 that was spent on the renting of a venue for the signing ceremony of a loan?
Thank you very much. $20,000. The way you mentioned it, a lot of emphasis. But this is an international activity. It is an activity that was not held in Ghana, that was held in Paris. It is an activity that attracts top banks, premium banks, and their officials. And they need protection for such a signing ceremony. It's a ceremony that involves you getting 5 rooms for syndicated signing ceremony activities, and then you would have to feed the people who also attended the ceremony. And this is happening in the heart of Paris, where we spend euros or dollars. And therefore, this is something that COCOBOD has to spend, and we have been arranging this for the past 24 years. And together with the banks, we need to select a venue that is feasible to the largest top commodity loan at $1.8 billion. The facility costs us $12,500, and then there was the need to create a debt domain site which is used for the signing ceremony. And this is a special site with a lot of security for the banks that are engaging. That is where they take information from COCOBOD. That is where they do their bidding. And it is restrictive and therefore would have to be protected. And that cost close to the 8,000, making that 20 million. So there are a number of activities, a number of things that happened before the signing ceremony, and all that is the cost.
Well, Ms. Amenya, I want to find out, you were going for a loan, 1.8 billion, isn't it?
Yes.
And as part of going for the loan, you incurred this cost amounting to $20,000 on a signing ceremony. I want to understand this, because this 20,000 was taken out of the 1.8 billion. You paid it out of the loan.
Yes.
Why should it cost us that much? If you're going for a loan where we're going to pay for and you spend this much on a signing ceremony?
You see, we all take loans. If you take loan from a local bank and you ask for 2,000 cedis, after the process, you would have to pay that fee, right? You don't get the 2,000 afterwards. But yes, your interest will be paid over 2,000. In an international dealing like this, in a volume of money like this that we are handling, definitely there are charges associated. There are certain things that you would have to engage in, and that would have to be subtracted from the loan. And so in this case, these legal fees, the recurring of the place, the website design, and all other associated costs are things that mandatory for COCOBOD in order to get it. And it is international business, and therefore we should not reduce it to a local activity.
No, I'm not reducing it to a local activity. But did we necessarily have to go rent a place that will cost us $12,500?
Yes, because if you can check that I want to do something in Paris, and I want a venue that will bring 100 officials.
How necessary was that?
And let them give you the quotation. Then you can compare. It is then that you can interrogate the expenditure on this to say that, oh, is it even better or not? Because the loan itself, attracted that to 1.17% interest. Go to the Euro bonds and other loans that are, and look at the ratings of the interest. So actually a lot of work has gone into this, and it has been international review. And it is even ridiculous to say that we are dwelling on fees for just the value for the finance.
Well, Mr. Amenya, it is an amount that is worth talking about. We cannot water down the effect of $20,000 out of the loan that you've gone to take. You're paying that money out of the amount of the loan you've gone to take. So it's worth that we talk about it and understand. You're saying that you provided security for the people who came there. What kind of security did you give to them that cost us that much?
Is there any alternative that you could have offered?
I'm only asking. You're the one who did this, and I'm asking for you to give me answers.
And I'm telling you that in the heart of Paris, if you want a facility that can give protection to such high-profile people to do a tiny ceremony like this, it will cost you that much.
I'm asking what kind of security that you gave. I'm sure would want to understand. What
we are bringing top officials from China, from Japan, from US, from Brazil, from a lot of countries, 30 banks. And can we just put them anywhere? We need to consider all this. Even when we do it here, we should be protection for the people. The time we did it in Ghana, we had to bring in DNI and all that to protect the people who were there. So it is of prime concern.
Well, Mr. Amenya, thank you. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I'm grateful, sir. Well, that's Noah Kwesi Amenya is the Senior Public Relations Manager at the COCOBOD, trying the best he can to really justify that payment of $20,000 for the renting of a facility for a signing ceremony of a loan of $1.8 billion syndicated loan for the 2015-2016 crop season for the renting of that particular venue for COCOBOD. Now, some members of the minority caucus in Parliament raised concerns about the utilization of the syndicated loan proceeds for 2015-2016 crop season. An amount of $169,000 was also spent as legal fees, among other expenditure. Now, the loan has attracted an interest of $4.1 million from October 2015 to January 2016. Now, we try to get onto the telephone now and speak to Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, who is a ranking member of Agriculture Committee of Parliament. And so all the persons who's been raising concerns about this development now. We understand it is actually in a meeting as we speak. It's in a committee meeting in Parliament as we speak at the moment. And so we'll try to get through to him later on as we go on to get his concerns about this rate. But so that's what's really is happening with the COCOBOD syndicated loan. Away from that, President John Dramani Mahama has held bilateral talks with President Alassane Ouattara in Abidjan as part of a two-day official visit to Cote d'Ivoire. Speaking at a press conference after the meeting in the presidential palace, the two leaders said their discussions centered on boosting economic activities between the two countries, spearheading the regional integration efforts of the sub-region, and how to amicably solve the maritime borders issues, sub-regional security as well. President Ouattara congratulated President Mahama for his leadership and impactful tenure as chair of ECOWAS, noting that he demonstrated a clear commitment to the integration efforts and borrow his influence to bear on a number of issues in the sub-region. President Mahama was accompanied by his wife, First Lady Madame Lordina Dramani Mahama, and other ministers. of State. He was later decorated with the highest Ivorian National Award at a state dinner held in his honor at the Presidential Palace.
Small, c'est tout. Va dans la main, Eric.
Now, so there's been some clarity coming from the Finance Ministry, specifically concerning the earlier communication in the media that government intends to task some pension funds of pensioners. And that's generated some anger on the part of Ghanaians and pensioners as well. And well, the Finance Ministry specifically saying they do not intend, or government does not intend, taxing pensions. And the president has also tweeted on his Twitter page, specifically clarifying that position that was put out in the media 2 days ago after that meeting or presentation by Setekwe at the graphic organized business summit there. Let's go on to the telephone now. Seth Abloy is a labor consultant. Join me on the telephone now. If you can hear me, good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you very much for your time. Now, we've gotten clarity about that position that government is not going to tax pensions until if you decide to go take your pension before the age of 60, then that would apply. But I want to find out from you what you make of this particular development, specifically concerning that proposal.
Thank you for having me. Clearly, for all those who heard the finance minister live in his presentation, what he sought to present was that pensions were going to be taxed. Now, the further clarification they gave later yesterday in the statement sought to say that they will only tax when a withdrawal is made, sort of, before the pension age. But pensions have always been non-taxable. And it clearly says so in the Pensions Act 766. Before that, earlier laws on pensions have all had pensions exempted from tax. It is strange that this assault is being considered on the income of pensioners, and I think it's very regrettable. The finance ministry needs to leave this and look elsewhere. Pensioners are in the poverty bracket in this country, even though that is not considered. So you don't further impoverish them by taxing their income. Now, if somebody leaves pension before retiring age, what the person gets is a reduced pension. And there are modalities for working that. You don't tax that person. And people leave before the retiring age for different reasons. Particularly even for the third tier. The third tier has come in targeted at essentially the informal sector. And for these persons, they have the right to make a withdrawal in the life of their contribution. And that is one incentive that brought many informal sector operators to get on board. So to now say that when they take some of the money, it is going to be subject to tax. Is to present complete disappointment to those persons who came on board. There are some of the difficulties that the promoters encountered in getting them to get on board, or that they were suspicious of officialdom. Now what they will say is that their fears have been confirmed.
Right.
And I think that it is bad for long-term funds mobilization from the informal sector in particular. And I think that we need to look elsewhere. That is particularly with respect to pension.
I see, Mr. Ablo, there are those who also make the argument that this is not specific to Ghana alone. You look at other jurisdictions and it does apply same. And I'm sure that you might be aware that it's not a case in point that Ghana is in a case of isolation. So,
well, most other jurisdictions have not been presented publicly. When they bring those other publications, we need to look at other variables in those economies.
right.
But this is peculiar to Ghana, and it's been so for several years. For several years, it's remained non-taxable. PNDC law 247 pensions law 766.
Okay.
And from in the Fourth Republic, from President Rawlings era to Atamil, to President Kufuor to Atamil, it's always remained non-taxable. And I think it's better to leave it on the step. Otherwise, it can disturb the industrial atmosphere in this country.
Okay. Ms. Ablo, I thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and I wish you well. That's Seth Ablo, so is a labor consultant there helping us with understanding of it. But that's it for business.